Hello everybody, welcome to this week's episode of The County Seat. I'm your host, Chad Booth. Utah was stunned back in 1996 when President Clinton, from the edge of the Grand Canyon, signed into law the Grand Staircase Escalate National Monument. 1.9 million acres, nearly 80% of 2 counties, was taken off the map for any kind of development other than the primary purpose of recreation. And this was very upsetting to the communities of southern Utah, mostly because they were not involved in the dialogue that created the monument. Well, the same situation has surfaced again with a letter that the Outdoor Industries Association sent to President Obama asking him to use the same Antiquities Act to create a monument that fills in the area between Arches Canyonlands and Lake Powell, creating a very large block of recreational-only land. There's a lot of debate about this, and there are a lot of other avenues that the local governments think they could take to accomplish the same goals. We will discuss that today on the county seat. To give you a little bit of background on monuments, though, let's start with this report from Terry Wood.
In 1906, the Antiquities Act was passed by Congress. It was a way for the president to protect areas that held historic or scientific significance. It was a one-page statute that the authors had intended as a protection of archaeological sites from looters. President Teddy Roosevelt used it in 1908 to create the Grand Canyon National Monument. President Clinton used the act in 1996 to create the Grand Staircase Escalate National Monument in southern Utah and northern Arizona. Still, there are some communities in southern Utah who are not happy about the way that monument was created.
The local officials basically woke up one morning and found out that 1.9 million acres of their county was within the boundaries of the Grand Staircase National Monument.
The Grand Staircase Escalate Monument was designated under the Antiquities Act to protect those historic, scientific, and scenic surroundings of the area. However, local officials believe the monument was more about politics than protection.
The driving force of the creation of that monument was coal. There are billions of tons of high-grade, low-sulfur coal on that monument. There's trillions of cubic feet of natural gas, there's oil, and it's all locked up. It was, in my mind, a stab in the back by our president that has hurt our whole nation.
The president that created it under the Antiquities Act stated in his book, "I created the monument to save the pristine area from the ravaging of coal mining, that tourism would be better for the economy."
Some Utah counties concerned about future monument designations began working on their own land planning in the wake of what happened in Kane and Garfield counties.
Fundamentally, the county leadership believes that if we don't make a decision about how our land's going to be managed, somebody else will. We watched what happened in the Grand Staircase Escalate area and saw that literally overnight your whole world can change around you.
2 requests for new monuments in southern Utah and northern Arizona have been sent to the president's desk in the past year. One proposal is for a 1.7 million acre national monument on the Arizona Strip, an area near the Grand Canyon that is also rich in uranium. A second proposal comes from the Outdoor Retailers Association. They're asking the president to protect 1.4 million acres near Canyonlands National Park. Opponents to these plans argue that the resource extraction that would possibly occur on these lands would have minimal impact and not affect the aesthetic of the landscape. They also make the point that much of these areas are already under some form of protected status. The Antiquities Act was meant to protect historical sites for future generations, and some argue these landscapes fit into that ideal and should be safeguarded from any resource development in the future. Some local officials, however, are wondering whether using the act to establish monuments is in the best interest of the local people, mostly affected by their designation. For the county seat, I'm Terry Wood.
We will start our conversation on the proposal for new monuments within the state of Utah and the surrounding states when we come back here on the county seat.
unlimited opportunity for adventure. It's all about knowing where to look. ATV adventures, rock crawling events, art festivals, and wildlife events. The opportunities are limitless. Pick your adventure in Miller County.
15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. We have ignition sequence start. Engines on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Launch commit. Liftoff. We have liftoff. 3 minutes past the hour.
Check out these pictures from my vacation.
Where did you go again?
Garfield County, you know, like Bryce Canyon, Devil's Rock Garden.
Where's that?
Capitol Reef, Kodachrome Basin, Highway 12.
Wait a minute, I wanted to see more.
A picture may be worth 1,000 words, but there's nothing like experiencing the real thing firsthand. Gather your family and see the world's largest concentration of scenic attractions. Garfield County, Utah. Find the ultimate adventure.
Get ready, set, jump! The day starts off at sunrise with the Cisco Disco. Come catch Cisco fish at Cisco Beach on the east side of Bear Lake. After the fishing, why not jump in the lake yourself? The Bear Lake Monster Polar Plunge starts at 11 a.m. at the Bear Lake State Park Arena. All proceeds from the event go to Primary Children's Medical Center. On January 26th, gather your family and head north for a great cause. Visit bearlake.org for more information. Rich County, take the plunge.
Welcome back to the county seat. Our topic today is the creation of new national monuments in the West, in specific proposal for the Greater Canyonlands Monument. We've also touched on the Arizona Strip Monument concept, the impacts that it would have on the local communities there. Joining us for this conversation, Mark Ward, the Public Lands Counsel for the Utah Association of Counties, Commissioner Kenneth Maryboy from San Juan County, who is also a member of the Navajo Nation Council, basic legislative body for the Navajo Nation. And we also have Bruce Adams, San Juan County Commissioner. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark, UAC has already, the Utah Association of Counties has already responded to this proposal from the Outdoor Industries Association. What took place?
Well, within a few days of learning of the proposal, commissioners from roughly 26 of Utah's 29 counties co-signed onto a letter to President Obama urging him not to make the monument designation for the Greater Canyonlands area, and complained basically that this proposal was done without any collaboration whatsoever with county officials. We prefer the collaborative way of doing business on public lands in Utah, where stakeholders get together through the planning process. BLM has a perfectly good process for that. The protections that are needed there are afforded through that process. This monument process completely whitewashes over that, and we made that clear in the letter that we oppose the national monument for that and other reasons.
Kenneth, I find this very interesting in that the original purpose of the Antiquities Act, under which this monument designation would come, was really to protect the antiquities, cultural artifacts, and heritage of our American culture, in specific Native American culture, and yet this recreational application is going to have an impact, I believe, on the Navajo Nation's way of life for the people that live within the Navajo Nation. Is that not correct?
That is true. You know, some time ago we met with the Obama staff for the same issue of Antiquities Act and all the cultural aspect of the land. And my position was that was fine and dandy. Thank you very much, sir. But the ancestors are gone, yes, but I'm here. I still have a tie to the land. I'm a medicine man practitioner to where I still have ties to my herbs and ceremonial areas, and as well as the elders have addressed the same opinion. So I believe that this is somewhat very new to where we're kind of looking at what's going to happen, or how is it going to be, and how we're going to mold it to where it's going to best fit the people. So I feel it's kind of nervousing, but yet I feel that we still have a strong tie to the land. I have my elders and have my elders that still feel that the best way to keep themselves warm is firewoods. They try to stay away from other means of heating sources, so that's the great tie. And of course, just about everything we see in those areas are edible. It's food and medicine to us.
Bruce relayed a story to me, something that happened, and I was actually driving a few weeks ago out of Monument Valley up the Moki Dugway, and I actually saw a BLM ranger with binoculars watching people harvesting. Don't know what he did after I left, but he was very specifically watching people harvest pine nuts.
Well, I can tell you what they did, Chad. I went to the next chapter meeting, and the Navajo people that were up on the mesa there gathering pine nuts told me that the ranger stopped them and asked them if they had a permit to gather pine nuts. They told him they didn't know what a permit was for gathering pine nuts, or that they needed one. The ranger took the pine nuts, went back over under the cedar tree and spread them out on the ground because those Navajo people didn't have a permit, which I think is pretty outrageous.
What we're talking about is life subsistence or sustaining for people who live on the nation if this becomes a monument.
That's a tradition. You know, it's really hard to figure why we would be asked not to do these things. We've been doing it for hundreds of years. It's been passed on to generation. It doesn't only pertain to the pine nuts itself, but there's stories and there's ceremonials and there's other practices that goes along with it. And to me, if that was ever to happen, that's going to be a huge impact to the Navajos on San Juan County Strip all the way down.
Garfield and Kane County felt the experience of having a monument dropped in their lap without any real conversation about it. And the president himself, as he wrote his memoirs, said that he was keeping the coal from coming out of that county as a great favor to the rest of the nation. Do you see similar kinds of impacts with that much land? I think San Juan's on the line for what, 600,000 acres?
600,000 acres will potentially be put into the Canyonlands, Greater Canyonlands Monument. We have natural resources, and we're an extractive county. We survive on extracting minerals because 92% of our county is under federal control in one form or another. So we have just 8% of our county that has to provide the tax base to provide the services for people that come and visit. So there's a lot of minerals that can be extracted in areas that are within this boundary. We know that there are sensitive areas that need protection, and we're not saying that those areas don't deserve some kind of protection, but as we looked at it as a staff, we could identify maybe up to 5,000 acres that might be in sensitive areas that really needed some protection. But to lock up 600,000 acres to protect 5,000 acres, we just think it's too big a bite.
So do you agree, Kenneth, that protection should take place in smaller increments, and that would serve the Navajo Nation better as well?
I think it's up to the people to make that decision, and I think the government should at least listen to the people to see what position they take on this matter, because at this point in time, I feel the same way as what Commissioner Adam has expressed it. That's a huge chunk, even though if it's a small portion, because when you talk about small and large, I go back to my herbalists. There's certain areas that they pick certain types of herbs for the ceremonial purposes, and how do I know which site and which area would be the one that they're talking about closing? But as far as I know, it's going to make a huge impact to the areas where we do our ceremonial purposes.
I would like to pose a couple of questions we'll talk about when we come back. One is, what is a potential solution as an alternative to a monument designation that we might discuss? And the second one is, how far off from the original intent of the Antiquities Act have we come with these kinds of designations? And I would like to have the input of all three of you on at least those two topics when we return. We'll be back with the county seat after this quick commercial break on monuments and the creation of new monuments. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
you spend an extra day in Utah Valley? Stay one more day. Visit utahvalley.com to make reservations. Utah Valley. Bring everyone together.
The State of Utah School and Institutional Trust Lands Administration. SITLA manages 3.5 million acres in Utah lands with the express purpose of furthering the education of Utah students while promoting local industry, oil and gas, even residential development, all at the same time. Through the careful use of trust lands, we distributed more than $22 million to Utah schools last year. The State of Utah School and Institutional Trust Lands Administration, building the state's permanent school fund.
Have you ever wanted to go on a vacation to Mars? What about a visit to the Old West? Impossible, right? Well, forget what you think is real. In southern Utah's Kane County, other worlds are just an ATV ride away. The Old West lives on in every sunset. From the downtown streets of Little Hollywood to the vistas that have inspired the world. Never find yourself closer to home and yet farther than you've ever been. Southern Utah's Kane County, where anywhere is possible.
At the Prehistoric Museum, USU Eastern, there's no time like the past. Interpretive exhibits tell a tale of long ago. Observation labs allow visitors to witness the processes of preparation and curation and speak one-on-one with the preparators. Dinosaurs, Ice Age, and archaeology allow you to experience life 500 million years in the making. What happens in Utah's Castle Country stays with you.
Welcome back to the county seat. Our topic today has been so far the creation of new monuments, in particular the Greater Canyonlands Monument, which has been made as a request to the Obama administration by the Outdoor Industries Association. Part of what concerns people is that this letter that was written to the president really made it sound like this was a groundswell support from the state of Utah, and really, as far as I can tell, Utah really was not part of, the local residents were not part of anything that they forwarded to the Obama administration. Is that correct?
It was a surprise to San Juan County. We hadn't heard anything about it. But of course, a year before that, we saw an effort by Southern Utah Wilderness Alliance to create the Greater Canyonlands Monument. To us, it was an endorsement by the outdoor industry of the SUA proposal.
And some of the head honchos of outdoor industry are very thickly ingrained with the movers and shakers of other environmental groups, including SUA. So that's well known too. I mean, this is, in some ways, the outdoor industry has been co-opted by this activist sort of approach. I mean, there are a lot of, you think about outdoor recreation, it's a big umbrella.
Well, and I think this is a broader question, and I think it goes beyond just recreation, because one of the statements in their letter specifically stated that that energy and mineral extraction and other activities cannot coexist with recreation, and that they need to become a one industry. The counties need to become a one industry county, which is all about recreation. It's more sustainable. Do you buy that they can coexist?
So if you just have one use identified as being the primary user of the land, it really goes against all of the things that BLM is trying to do to manage the land and manage it for multiple use. And we believe in multiple use. We think that they can coexist, that the extraction of minerals, recreation, and all of the other uses of the land can coexist, because they don't often really overlap in the various areas where those things are taking place. But we're multiple use oriented.
Kenneth, is there a clash between recreation and the Navajo culture?
You know, being a middle person here today, I guess, to me it's kind of exciting, but yet only because that the Native Americans have become into the picture of this whole position on the land itself. The multiple users and also the people that are more concerned of those, that somebody needs to realize that we've been there before. We were there all along. And why wasn't any question posed upon us to see where do we stand on this and how do we take a position on this matter? So at this point in time, we took a position, which of course we have a board now, which is called the Nebuchadnezzar, and meaning that every other chapter within the San Juan County, Utah, all the way from Navajo Mountain to Anna, we have a board member sitting in there talking about the issues of the very thing that we're talking about now. Is okay then, we're here. How do we work together to make this work? We don't want to see this thing crumble down, or we don't want to see this thing to be put on the back burner. Let's talk. Let's do something here. I think that's where we're at now as Navajos.
Do you think the collaboration of land planning should be done in a monument format, or do you think it should be in another, we should approach a collaborative effort on public and multiple use in a different venue?
That's what we're open for right now, is to talk about either multiple users or the Great Canyons and how do we survive this. The bottom line is, I think the people should at least take a position before any kind of a move should make, because we're still tied to the land.
Chad, it should be a ground-up approach, not a top-down. The outdoor industry asked the president to declare the monument. That's a top-down approach. We think it should start at the ground up, and the president and Secretary Salazar have both said time and time again, when it comes to land use planning, we think it should be a ground-up approach.
Mark,
you have at least three federal agencies there. You have the National Forest, the Manti La Salle National Forest. You have the Monticello Field Office of the BLM. You have the Moab Field Office of the BLM. Each of those offices go through a very extensive planning process according to law. Many stakeholders are at the table during that planning process, including San Juan County, and I believe in the Navajo Nation as well, as cooperating agencies. And so that's what the law envisions, a grassroots, ground-up, participatory process that is 180 degrees opposite from asking a remote Washington, D.C. president with the stroke of a pen to lock down 1.4 million acres. That's the outrage. That's why everybody in the whole area, 600,000 acres in San Juan County, but there's another 800,000 acres of the 1.4, if I'm doing my math right, in Garfield, Wayne, and Emery counties. And so, that's the outrage, Chad.
Okay, well, we will come back in just a minute from County Seat for a very short wrap-up after this commercial break. Thank you for staying with us.
Anything worth doing in this quiet little town?
You strike me as the kind of girl that likes a manicure and a massage.
I was hoping for something a little more vigorous.
Vigorous, I can do.
And I thought you'd be riding side saddle.
What? I'm gonna regret this.
Almost 45% of the oil produced in Utah, 7.8 million barrels, comes from Duchesne County. That oil feeds our state economy, provides job growth, and supports local business. Here in Duchesne County, we're working to make Utah an economic, cultural, and technological leader. Whether you're here for business or pleasure, Duchesne County will welcome you with open arms and invite you to explore all the beauty of the Uinta Mountains. Duchesne County, close enough for business, far enough to get away.
Rediscover your sense of adventure. Welcome to San Juan County. Discover the past. A change of place. Utah's San Juan County, where life is elevated.
Industry is the symbol of Utah. Beauty is what makes it unique. Nowhere else are these two qualities exemplified, like in Uinta County. Oil and gas extraction, pioneer history, the spirit of hard work and integrity that feed our state. built in the middle of the most spectacular backdrop in the West. Isn't it time you found the balance you've been looking for? Uinta County, Utah, where industry meets inspiration.
Welcome back to the county seat. Final thoughts, gentlemen. Kenneth, we'll let you lead the way.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, according to this whole initiative, it's as far as I know, looking out to the people that we know in the San Juan County area, you know, the worry's there and the outrage is there. And saying that we're doing this because of the antiquities, and I still take a position saying that I'm here, I'm still have a tie to the land itself, and being a medicine man, I have a lot to offer to my people as a leader and a medicine man as well, of course, by these lands and how we're tied to it, along with the foods and the herbs and everything we do there. So with that, I think I should at least be notified along with the people that have the multiple ties to the land itself.
The idea is to protect antiquities and a representative way of life, but really a lot of members of your nation are still living that way of life, and they're living that close life to the land, and so it's like living symbolism, is it not?
That's right. That's right. We do have people that are still practicing the old ways as far as hunting and gathering herbs, gathering woods, and just the lifestyle and the way of living is still almost the same way as it was in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
Okay, Mark, your comments.
There's a better way than calling 1.4 million acres a monument. That insults the intelligence. That's not what monument really means. That's not what the act originally meant. A monument is supposed to bring to help you recall some event, like a war memorial or something like that. We've gone far astray from the word monument. The better way, find those gem areas in San Juan County and surrounding areas that deserve wilderness protection. Also, at the same time, properly give the go-ahead for proper development, mineral development, energy development, while protecting those other important areas. Provide micro protections where needed for different user groups, such as the Navajo Nation. That's really the better way.
Okay, well, that sounds like an existing BLM RMP to me.
That seems to
Bruce,
be the case, yeah.
Your thought?
I agree. I just would like to be consulted with. I would like the local people to have a voice in this whole process. I wish the people in Washington, D.C., those people east of the Mississippi, those people who come to use the land in San Juan County, if they want to propose a different kind of management plan, let's sit down and talk about it. Let's look at what's on the ground, and let's work together to do what's best for the people and the land.
Very good. A great summary to a show. Thank you for joining us on The County Seat. Check us out on our website, thecountyseat.tv. We'll see you next week.